Sorry for the pushback here. We're live, Patriots Postgame Show, CLNS Media Network. Patriots Beat edition of the Patriots Postgame Show with myself and Alex Barth from 98.5 The Sports Hub. No John Zanis tonight, so I'm in the host chair. We're going to break down Patriots-Lions. Obviously, I'm sure you all watched. Patriots took care of business today, took down the Lions 29-0. It was their first shutout since last November when they went into Atlanta and beat them 25-0. Obviously, we got a lot to get to. We'll do about 45 minutes-ish here. We'll break it all down for you guys. But, Alex, before we get into some points, just any initial thoughts off the top? How do you think they look today? Obviously, good sign getting a W.
Yeah, we'll get into the offense a little more because I there's more nuance to what happened on that side of the ball. But
yeah,
this defense might actually be like not just for real, but for real.
Like they're really good. Yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely loved what I saw from them today. I thought they were excellent.
Yeah.
We can get into some of the reasons why in a little bit, but I know some people are probably sitting here thinking the Lions, the 1-3 Lions, and that team's always bad.
No.
This Lions team on the offensive side of the ball, look, there's something else on both offense and on defense. Now that something else is very different on both sides,
right.
But
league leaders on both sides, whatever way you want to quantify that.
There's historic context as to what the Patriots did defensively in this game that we'll get into, and that I wrote about on 98.5thesportshub.com. So
I was going to tee that all up for you.
We can. I know that people love to kind of, be the pump the brakes people post game. I think that's totally fair on offense. We can get into the good and the bad there and what was real and what wasn't. What the defense did to me was very real.
Yeah, I agree. I think we can start with offense first because I think they're, as well as the offense played, obviously, putting up 29 minus 7, 20, 22 points because we'll take away the defensive touchdown. Offense looked really good, but there were a few things I guess we can pick out of that where the defense I got no issues with whatsoever. Like you said, historical dominant game from them against the league's leading offense. So we'll break down the offense first, if that works for you.
Okay.
Because Bailey Zappi came in, took the helm, third-string quarterback rookie out of Western Kentucky. Goes 17 of 21 for 188 yards, a touchdown, and an interception, which I wrote about it on CLNSmedia.com, and I am so beyond done with Nelson Agholor because I edited Zappi's stat line without the Agholor drop into the hands of who picked him off? You know who it was?
I can't remember
off the top of my head. Regardless, take that out the stat line, and Zappi goes 18 of 21 for 200 plus, a touchdown, no turnovers, efficient football. Really good performance for a fourth-round rookie getting thrust in out of basically nowhere with a week to prep. But I thought Zappi was awesome. I thought he ran the offense really well. Offense as a whole, running the football, Stevenson was awesome. We can get into a little bit, but I mean, kudos to Bailey Zappi, who we were both there today at Gillette Stadium. People chanting his name, Zappi, thank you, Zappi. Like it was an electric atmosphere. We've talked about the uniforms, but Zappi was awesome today.
And by the way, it was Deshaun Elliott who had the interception.
Okay, yeah.
Former Texas Longhorn, guy that I think will be a Patriot at some point. By the way, just always liked him. Good player.
There's a whole list of those guys.
He got hurt in that later in that game.
Yeah,
Zappi looked good for what that game was, and I know we're kind of saying this for the second week in a row, but that's just the reality of it. I just kind of went on this spiel about, well, the Lions offense was off to this great start to the season, and so you have to give the defense credit. This is the opposite. The Lions had allowed the most points through 4 games in the NFL, the most yards through 4 games in the NFL. They really didn't create turnovers. They really didn't get pressure on the quarterback. So, and then on top of that, they were already coming in banged up in the secondary, and they lost, 3-4 players from that secondary in this game. So they're down to like 3rd, 4th stringers. Give Zappi credit for what he did. He had open receivers. He hit him between the numbers. He actually did have one really good tight window throw that ended up incomplete. He had a pass. It was in the first half, might have been in the first quarter, to Hunter Henry that really just kind of threaded in. Alex Anzaloni, the middle linebacker, the guy with the hair for the Lions, broke it up. I think it was on 3rd down. You know what play I'm talking about.
Yes.
That might have been his best throw of the day that actually fell incomplete. But what does he look? And again, the moment wasn't too big for him. He was calm. He was poised. He made the throws he needed to make. he wasn't inaccurate, which is all good. This isn't to knock Bailey Zappi. I'm saying
Right. You
he
can't
did what
knock
you
him,
would
right.
expect of him to do today. But what's it going to look like when the wide receivers aren't running wide open on every play? Because that's kind of what today was. There really was very little resistance from the defensive side of the ball. Now, will we get a chance to see what that looks like? I don't know. This is a huge, huge week for Mac Jones, and we can get into that now. Or we
Yeah,
can
it
get
is.
into it later. But
Let's do it. Let's talk
I thought
QBs.
I
Let's stay on
thought
it.
Zappi looked good for what it was, but I do
Yeah.
think you need to consider the context of the defense he was facing.
Agreed. I mean, obviously, there's certainly
And sorry, and one more thing. The offense he's running looks a lot
Uh-huh.
more like the offense they were in last year than what they had Mac Jones run through the first 3 games. That's another
Right.
when
Yeah.
Mac keep running this
They're playing
offense
to
when
their
Mac comes
strengths.
back. A little
Right.
more
They're
under
playing to
center
these
stuff,
guys' strengths. Yeah.
But they didn't with Mac. That's the thing.
No,
They're
I'm saying
now
that, but I'm
playing to the
saying
quarterback
this is
strengths.
what they have to do. Yeah, they have to continue that even
Right.
when Mac comes back,
I
because they
wish they
started
had
the
done this
season
the first 3
with this
weeks, but
streamlined nonsense that they tried to implement and it just didn't work. You need to do it, like you said, around these guys' strengths. But yeah, obviously we're not going to knock Zappi because he came in and he did his job.
no, there's no knock on him. On
Right,
him directly.
100%. No, of course. You have to take it. You have to take it into context and take it into consideration. But if we saw him missing throws and we saw him throwing interceptions and overthrowing guys, then that would be the tell, right? But this just shows you that this guy is a serviceable, I suppose, NFL quarterback. I know it's only one game against the Lions, but again, he showed enough that he can handle himself. We go back and forth. People give Belichick a ton of credit on things, and then people knock Belichick, and it's the endless cycle about the Belichick Brady, whatever you want to call it. If there's one thing that I can give Belichick like a ton of credit for, obviously aside from being a masterful defensive mind, he's able to bring in really solid plug and play quarterbacks. You can go down the line from a Tom Brady in the 6th round to Matt Castle undrafted to
Jacoby Brissett.
Jimmy Garoppolo, Jacoby Myers.
I was going to probably the worst quarterback on that list, but if you want to include Garoppolo,
if that's what you want to call him, it's not. I mean, it's not accurate, but if that's what you want to call him, fine, because he's better than Matt Castle. But regardless,
all right. How old were you when Matt Castle took over? He was good that year.
Old enough to cry my eyes out when they lost the Super Bowl the year before. But that's obviously a conversation for another day. But a Bailey Zappi, I guess Mac Jones is a 1st round pick, but like he's able to bring in guys who, even when your starting quarterback goes down, these guys come in and they are able to manage games enough to win games. A lot of teams can't do that with their 2nd and 3rd quarterbacks.
Well, because he's coaching them up. Like that's right. What it is. I don't know that it's. I mean, some of it,
but it's a bit of a skill set thing too. It's like you see a guy who can be a game manager like that, and then you morph this.
You got to have the floor, right? And he's finding guys off the floor, but it's
absolutely.
I don't know that Matt Castle, we know, right? Matt Castle had that season he goes to Kansas City, gets the big contract, and I think he had one good year in Kansas City.
Yeah, he did. He never took them to the playoffs one year.
Lived up to that level that he was expected to. You look at what's happened with Jimmy in San Francisco. Again, he's never, they just gave up 3 first-round picks to replace the guy instead of giving him a second contract. Like, he's never quite hit that level. So they do it here. They get up to the only one who's really gone elsewhere and succeeded. Jacoby Brissett's kind of balling out right now. And that's going to be really interesting to see next week. But
even a guy like Brian Hoyer too. Brian Hoyer's another guy who has gone elsewhere. And again, we heard about it all last week before the concussion thing. It's the 0 for 11, 0 for 12 in his last starts. But he went to Cleveland, was 10-6 for a year. He started games in San Francisco. So like you said, there are guys that Belichick brings in who can play in the NFL.
And you even look at guys who he's brought in who maybe didn't play, but Kevin O'Connell was a 4th-round draft pick, who's now the coach of the Vikings. He's one of the hottest young coaches in the league. Zach Robinson's a guy who is he the offensive coordinator?
He was in LA now? He was the quarterback's coach. He might have moved up because
did he get promoted? Well, he's another guy who's kind of rising up the coaching ranks. He was a 7th-round draft pick by the Patriots way back when. So
he's the pass game coordinator for the Rams.
He's the passing game coordinator. Okay.
Yeah.
So he is kind of finding these guys. It is very interesting. And Zappi's look, I'm going to take this victory lap as much as I can. I was telling people last October, Bailey Zappi, this guy, watch this guy. This is a fit. I don't know if they're going to take quarterback because what are you talking about? He's just some volume thrower. And then they take him in the draft. By the way, can we talk about, and you weren't here for this. This is when I was doing the show with Evan. When they drafted Zappi, everybody hated that pick. Everybody. And I had to explain it. And I had to basically sit people down. And we went from that Two, they were chanting his name at Gillette Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
I would just like to say, this is why on draft night, you
Check
can
that
like
one off
picks,
in the Barth column.
You can like pick. No, I just want to urge everybody when it comes to the draft, you can like picks, you cannot like picks. You shouldn't have that extreme of a reaction one way or the other. You gotta see it play out.
Let it play out. I feel that way, I guess, too, about Cole Strange, because again,
that's a good call.
Yeah, because that was one where I was pulling my hair out on draft night. But again, because it's a guard in the back end of the first round, yada yada yada, all the things you've heard before. But Cole Strange has played his ass off, whatever you want to call it. So he's done well. Continuing on with this offense,
did you want to talk about next week?
Oh yeah, we'll do next week. Good call, because I think, again, we just sat here and we talked about the Gillette Stadium fans chanting Bailey Zappe's name as he ran out the tunnel like he was Joe Namath in the Super Bowl, right? Let's not get ahead of ourselves now. If Mac Jones is healthy, he's playing quarterback for this team, bar none, no doubt about it. Nobody should be talking about a quarterback competition here. I know we're not going to. I know that's not even going to be a thing on this show or anywhere on these airwaves on CLNS Media, but there are people out there that say it, and it's not happening because Mac Jones is the quarterback of this team.
Well, so here's the thing for me. There is no quarterback competition right now. But Bailey Zappe just led them to a shutout win.
Yeah.
He's clearly popular in that locker room. He's popular with the fans.
Yeah, Jeff Howe tweeted something about his popularity today, too. Go ahead. Sorry.
Mac's been talking for 2 weeks like he's going to play. He hasn't, and I get it. But he kind of keeps hinting that, he wants to play, and, it's not necessarily, the team's ruling him out. You kind of have to show up next week if you're Mac Jones, because hypothetically, if Mac doesn't, and regardless of where the ankle's at, this is kind of a play on one leg if you can kind of game.
Yeah.
If Mac Jones doesn't show up next week, the Browns defense is not the Lions defense. The Browns defense has players. We'll see if Myles Garrett plays, but they got Denzel Ward. I'm blanking on the name of their other corner from Northwestern, Greg Newsome, right?
Yep.
That defense can play. If Zappe plays well against them, then it does become a conversation. Then I think it does legitimately become a conversation. So,
well, once it becomes talk in the locker room, that's, like you said, that's when it becomes conversation.
It's
Mac Jones. Go ahead. Yeah.
It's still Mac Jones' job right now.
Right.
But he has to show up this week and remind everybody, because I'll say this too. And look, if they go back to Mac this week, people are going to say, "Oh, but Zappe played so well." That defense is a part of it, right? That defense is a part of it. If he does it against the Browns, you lose that qualifier. It becomes a lot tougher. The most common said phrase, I'm going to predict this right now. The most common said phrase by sports radio callers in Boston this week will be, "Well, Bill gave the team to Brady in 2001. It was Drew's job." It's different, but
it's different.
If Zappe comes out against Cleveland and plays well, it closes that gap, right? So,
well, it makes it it makes it a talking point.
It's not this week. I'll say it's not this week. It's not a quarterback competition this week, but Mac Jones has to show up. He's got to play. He's got to play. This is where you got that dog in, you show it. Show up on one leg, come back, reestablish the fact that it's your job.
No, I agree. And it's a good point. I have a hard time thinking it's going to happen. But again, when it turns over into not just performance on the field, but into the locker room, that's when it kind of changes things too. Because even Bill Belichick at his press conference this afternoon that we were at, high praise for Zappe. He didn't just say team win stuff. He didn't just say his typical, hey, Bailey did his job and, that's what we expect. No, Bailey made I'm reading a quote from him now. Bailey made a lot of good decisions. He was accurate with the football. He does a good job of seeing the game and can come off and identify and articulate what happened. He's usually right. He comes over, talks it. I'm going off the cuff now, but he comes over, he talks it out with us, and even though he makes mistakes, he's able to understand what he sees on the field, and that's high praise from Bill Belichick. Another thing that I wanted to say on that too is Jeff Howe from The Athletic. Just that Zappe got a jump on the Lions film last Sunday, showed up Monday, impressed at Gillette Stadium with his early work. He prepped all week like the starter and became a popular teammate in a short amount of time. You saw it all come together today. So I don't want to say that's sourced, but it's sourced in a way, and it's coming from somewhere.
That's sourced.
That's legit. That's not just Jeff Howe sitting in his room with Twitter fingers. That's coming from somewhere saying something.
So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a tweet tomorrow, like early afternoon, from one of these guys that's something like Mac Jones expects to play this week, or Mac Jones is preparing with the expectation he's going to play. Mac getting that message out there that, hey, I'm back. Like, look for that tomorrow. I would just say
agreed.
that.
Yeah. Ultimately, I do think he's going to play. He made like you said,
he has to.
You have to read Belichick's tea leaves, and you have to listen to what he says. I've learned the hard way. We've gone over this a million times on this show and on Patriots Beat. He told us that Mac's gotten better every day. He told us that he got closer this week. He moved from out to doubtful on Saturday, and that just tells me that he's getting there and he's going to play this week. Like you said, he has to, and if he doesn't, and Zappy does well again, then the conversation becomes, even closer to the forefront.
Right.
My prediction is Mac plays, and we probably never see Bailey Zappi start a game again for a Patriots team. But I guess it was nice to see him in the throwback uniforms instead of Mac Jones.
Here's the one other element of it, right? When they picked Bailey Zappi, I called it kind of an investment because can you get back more than what you invested to get him?
Right.
He's played a game and a half. And he hasn't looked bad, right? He hasn't. Right. I know I just kind of said the defense and blah, 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 but he hasn't looked bad.
No, he went call it what you want. He went toe-to-toe with Aaron Rodgers in Lambeau Field.
You know who else played a game and a half and didn't look bad? Jimmy Garoppolo. Yeah. So if Jimmy got you a second and Bailey Zappi comes in with a better pedigree than Jimmy Garoppolo, FBS versus FCS, the records, right? Let's say you don't have to throw Bailey Zappi on the field again. What can you get from this offseason? Because there is a little bit of hype there around the league. I think the league took notice today. I think the league took notice. So,
that's something to watch too.
That's an interesting. It's an interesting angle too, because if he comes out against the Browns this next week and sucks,
his value's out the window.
He loses all that value.
Right.
If Mac plays next week, then you can kind of hide him. And then you start leaking out those reports, in January about Bailey Zappi this and Bailey Zappi that. And can you get somebody to overpay a little bit? Even if you can get a third-round pick.
Get the fourth that you got back from him, and that's right. Get the fourth that you used on him, and that's value in itself, right?
So
because with Jimmy, it was a second for Jimmy, and they ended up.
So here's the thing: it was a second for Jimmy. Jimmy was a second-round pick,
right?
I wonder, just again with the pedigree, can you turn using a fourth-round pick on Bailey Zappi into a third-round pick? And that, it doesn't sound like much. To do that in a year is very impressive. Yeah.
100%.
So.
Oops.
Just something to think about. Just something to think about.
No, 100%. I mean, I agree. It's fun. It's situations that we like to talk about here on the CLNS Media Network. That's kind of what we do over here. But that's what we got on the quarterbacks, if you will. Let's move on to Ramondre Stevenson, because the Patriots ran the ball right down Detroit's throat today. Ramondre Stevenson had 25 carries for 161 yards. He had 6.4 yards per carry. He was a monster. I wrote about it on CLNS. I think that Ramondre needs to become their bell cow running back. I know it's nice that they split the reps and they keep them both healthy, but Ramondre's younger, shorter on his rookie contract. I know Harris, I think, is on his last year. I just think they need to feed Harris. He's such a patient runner. His field vision is outstanding. The way he just hits the hole. He's so patient, and he hits the hole right at the right time. His balance, we saw it on that long run too. Somehow he stayed up for, a couple 20 more yards. I just think Stevenson's he's a freaking beast. And I guess we'll see what happens at the end of the day with the Damian Harris injury, but I mean, Stevenson showed his worth tenfold today. He was a monster. I still don't think it's 2022. You don't bell cow running backs. And look, it was a bell cow performance today. Very fitting for throwback week from Ramondre. Sure.
That's the third most rushing yards of the Bill Belichick era. Do you know who he's? Yeah. Do you know who he's behind?
I'm going to say Jonas Gray is one of them.
Jonas Gray is one, and then LeGarrette Blount is the other. Jonas Gray is the record, but I still, what makes them so good is the way they can wear a defense down in tandem. And you talk about the contracts. You don't run the guy into the ground that has more years left, because you need him for more years. The guy you run into the ground is the guy who's going to be a free agent next year, as callous as that sounds.
Okay, but I just think Stevenson's better than him.
So
that's kind of my point here. Bell cow maybe maybe is a bad word for it, but I think that I don't think it should be even reps. I think Stevenson at this point should be out-repping Damian Harris.
So here's how the Patriots view their running back depth chart. They're not going to bell cow back. Bill's not going to bell. I know there's the famous clip. Are you opposed to a workhorse? That you mean like when Corey Dillon ran for 1,600 yards? Like that was a long time ago in a very different league, right? The way that like the Patriots RB1, I was getting asked who's RB1. It's not necessarily about the quantity of the reps. It's about the quality. If you want to know who the Patriots RB1 is, don't look at who carried the ball more. Look at who's getting the ball on 3rd and 1. Who's getting the ball with 1:30 to go, up 3, needing a first down to run out the clock, right? Who's getting the ball on the goal line? Who's getting those high impact carries? That's the RB1 for the Patriots. And I will agree with you in that should be Ramondre Stevenson. Ramondre Stevenson should be the guy in the gotta have it situations. That being said, I still just, and look, Ramondre's had injury issues. We know Harris has as well, and he's banged up.
Right.
I would still split them. Now, if Harris is going to miss time and it's Ramondre Stevenson versus JJ Taylor,
or Pierce,
I think you might have to kind of force Stevenson a little more. But if those two guys are healthy, Harris and Stevenson, you gotta like maybe not 50-50, but you got at least 60-40 it. And again, to me, it becomes about who's getting the impact snaps. And I would agree with you on that it should be Stevenson.
Yeah, I just think, again, he's a monster. A bell cow may be a stretch. That's the writer in me kind of.
Bell cow to me is like 70-75%. Yeah. It's just not.
I mean, it's not how they want to play the game
in the modern NFL.
Yeah, but I still think he has to out-rep him. I do. I think, and this is obviously no disrespect for Damian Harris. Damian Harris has been awesome here for the last 4 years, but like, I don't know. I just think Stevenson's that much better than. So I think he's Harris like times 2. Go ahead.
What do you gain taking Damian Harris off the field?
I just think I think that Ramondre is better than him. So I think that I would rather have Stevenson taking more of Harris's reps because he's more likely to break it for a bigger gain.
But I guess my point. But my point is, it's not like Harris. You don't think Harris is bad, right?
No, not necessarily.
Why are you going to look? It's one thing if we're talking about playoff games, right?
Right.
We both know that there's mileage on running backs.
Of course.
Why are you going to wear him down?
I hate running backs.
Why are you going to wear him down when you don't have to and you have another quality option? Like just for highlights, for fantasy points?
I see your point, but again, I think he's better in that he has this better skill set. So like there's a higher likelihood that he's going to break a run or he's going to break a tackle or he's going to stay up longer.
And wouldn't you rather have that game-breaking ability fully available to you late in the season?
I mean, theoretically, of course, but
there's
but you need to win games now. You can't save that for later.
But that's my point.
But you're so stretched thin right now as the Patriots at now 2-3 that you need to give it your all right now. There's no playing the long game here.
You don't think they can win games with Damian Harris? I'll tell you they can. They've done it.
Now you're putting words in my mouth.
No, but you're saying you need Ramondre Stevenson in the game in there to win games. That's what you said.
He needs to out-rep him. I'm not saying you can't win games with Harris, but you have a better chance at winning with Stevenson.
You also have a better chance of him tiring out. Look on the defensive side of the ball. Look at what happened with Matthew Judon last year. They ran him into the ground.
No, of course.
What happened when they needed him? Like,
he was tough down the stretch.
It's running back's a similar position where it takes a lot out of you. You take that physical beating. I'm not, and this is again, all assuming Damian Harris is healthy. To me, it's about the quality of the carries, not the quantity.
Yeah.
Split them evenly because I think Harris can be plenty effective, but when it's that gotta have it, put Stevenson in the game because he's the better player. That's how I'm telling you. That's how they view it.
Of course, that's how they view it. Yeah,
I happen to view it the same way. There's very few. I mean, look at some of the elite backs in the game. What happens to them at the end of the year, right? Zeke Elliott always disappears in the playoffs. I mean, there really aren't that many elite backs, bell cow backs anymore. For examples, you've seen Nick Chubb fade late in the year at times. Derrick Henry's kind of the one exception, but I've compared Derrick Henry to. You're seeing it with him now,
right?
I also compare Derrick Henry to Rob Gronkowski. He's just a unicorn. But
Yeah.
again, like the Zeke Elliott's, I mean, Christian McCaffrey is an extreme example. He always gets hurt, but
Right.
you just don't see the backs that are truly elite. It's a catch-22, right? If a running back's truly elite, you want to play him a ton.
Mhm.
But the backs that play a ton always end up getting hurt. So even if you have an elite back, if you want him to keep playing like an elite back, you can't use him like an elite back.
Right.
That's where I think the Patriots kind of have the balance figured out and say, all right, we're not going to throw this guy to the wolves, but we're going to use him in spots when we need him, right? When we really need that game breaking element, we're
Right.
going to turn to him there, but we're not going to expect him to be the game-breaking player in our offense. I think that's just how you have to manage the running back position in 2022.
I agree 100%. And I agree with you on that because I'm sitting here and I'm talking up Ramondre Stevenson, and I hate running backs in the NFL because, again, you should never ever in your life pay a running back their second contract. And I think that's why I almost get myself overexcited about Ramondre, is because now he makes Damian Harris expendable already. You don't have to pay Damian Harris again. You don't have to cap strap yourself with Damian Harris because you already have another guy in the system like this. And so
Right.
I like seeing Stevenson be a game breaker like he's been, and that's kind of I guess that's my fan coming out, is wanting to see Stevenson just grab the rock and go every single time. But ultimately their running back room's in a good spot, their running game's in a good spot. I think their offensive line played really well today.
Great.
Isaiah Wynn, I think he only had one penalty, maybe a second one. It was tough because it was another momentum shifter, which is tough to see from him. But I mean, overall, the line played really well.
Yeah, I thought the line was great. I mean, Zappi was upright, and they even gave him room to move. I thought one of his better plays was that play where he kind of stepped up in the pocket, reset himself, and had that little shuffle to Hunter Henry, right?
That was awesome.
I thought that was, for a rookie, that's a high-level play. Really no complaints with the offensive line. Ramondre said it after the game, 6 MVPs, including Marcus Cannon. I thought they held up. We talked during the week, right, about Isaiah Wynn. You got to show up today. You can't lose your job. Green check for him. I thought he was good minus the penalty. So no complaints there. No complaints. No, the offensive line had their best game of the year.
The one last offensive piece I wanted to get to really quick is Jacoby Myers. Yeah. Jacoby Myers comes in today, 7
looks
catches.
Faster in red, by the way. Am I wrong with that?
No,
he looked
100%.
faster in that uniform.
Yeah, he was able to get open for a touchdown, which I asked him post-game how good it felt because he hasn't been able to get in the end zone much as a Patriot. And he was able to get in the end zone with his speed, 7 catches, $111, 8 targets, a touchdown. Me, you, and Evan were talking a little bit earlier this morning just about where the Patriots are maybe with Jacoby, and kind of if the Patriots are maybe not trying to pay Jacoby Myers, and kind of where he's been at with not playing the last few weeks and how they're going to use their reps in the slot, and Jacoby might be expendable. The potential seeing more Kendrick Bourne out there, Tyquan Thornton coming back, etc. Just the typical wide receiver banter is what we were going over. I think Myers showed his worth today. I thought he looked awesome. I think he, especially with, Tyquan was pedestrian. I know it's his first game. Kendrick Bourne back to only 1 catch. I don't know. I liked what I saw from Jacoby. I'm not saying they're gonna immediately pay him the money that he's worth after 1 game here. I know it's only week 5, but I don't know. He showed some worth today, in my opinion.
Yeah, just to recharacterize that conversation, it was more, it's interesting when a guy in a contract year misses time. Right?
100%,
it's always interesting because teams look at numbers and how do you scale that with missed games. As for the wide receiver position, I might be in the minority on this one. I like, and I don't think they necessarily did this on purpose, right? Nelson Aguilar got benched there, but was Parker got hurt, right? Or no, Aguilar was hurt.
No, Aguilar got hurt, but it was after the drop. It was a fishy injury.
I've been saying this, Mike. You've heard me say this. I've been saying this for weeks. None of their receivers should play 100% of the snaps. They should rotate all 6 guys because all 6 guys have different skill sets, and you can throw different looks at the opposing defense. That's sort of what they did today. They were mixing and matching the combinations. They went big at one point with Parker, Myers, Humphrey. They had a speed package out there at one point with Bourne, Thornton, and Aguilar. They went Bourne, Thornton, Parker at one point, which I thought was a nice group. Like, That to me is what it should be. Mix and match all 6.
Yeah.
Guys playing anywhere from 30 to 70% of the snaps and just
5.
keep.
Mix and match 5. I'm done with Aguilar. Fire him into the sun for all I care.
If you want to say, I'm not opposed to that,
That's just
especially
me.
now that Thornton's healthy.
Yeah.
If Thornton's truly full go, yes. If not, you still need his speed on the field to keep
I
him
don't
fine.
know,
But
dude. I know this is another thing with the Stevenson thing. I'm sorry to cut you off here, but just I guess it's my fan coming out, but it's also just it's okay. You give Aguilar this big money 2 years ago, right? And he no shows last year. Okay, it happens. But once you come out here and you start like actively, you can't say losing games as they won today, but you're actively hurting your team on the field with these drops and these like hot potatoes into the other team's hands. That's when I've seen enough from the guy.
I'm just saying if you don't have that speed element out there, it's gonna be what it was last year. You're gonna see those 7-8 man boxes, single high safety. Suddenly Ramondre's not looking as good, right? So, but again, if Thornton's full go, which he played more than I expect him to today, if he's full go, there's your speed element. You don't necessarily, when I say all 6 have very different skill sets, I think the most overlap is probably Thornton and Aguilar. It might be Myers and Bourne, but no, it's Thornton and Aguilar. I don't know what I'm trying to. So if you want to say take Nelson Aguilar off the field, fine. I'm not opposed to that. But whether it's the 5 or 6 man
rotations, correct.
Rotate everybody. Nelson Aguilar, you ever see the movie Moneyball?
Oh yeah.
You know that meme from Moneyball where they're describing the player? That's kind of Nelson Aguilar.
I did it this week about Bailey Zappi. Go ahead.
This is Nelson Aguilar. He's got elite speed. He's a great route runner, high football IQ. He just refuses to catch or hold on to the football. Like that's that's Nelson Aguilar right now. But if Thornton's good to go, just rotate those 5. Just rotate those 5. Keep giving teams different looks. That's how I would do it. I don't know that any guy needs to play 100% of the snaps. You kind of saw why today. The Lions were having trouble adjusting on the fly, and it's not a great defense, but they had to keep changing their coverage matchups.
Yep.
And is one more thing a defense has to think about. The more you can make a defense think about, the easier it's going to be to expose them. The higher chance there's going to be for a coverage breakdown or something like that. Jacoby Myers touchdown. I have to go back and watch it, but it was on a play where I think something like that happened where they were going with the Lions were going with the coverage alignment. The Patriots made a sub. I think they brought Bourne in for Parker, if I remember correctly, and it changed the coverage assignments for the Lions. Yeah. And then, wouldn't you know it, a busted coverage Jacoby Myers touchdown. Right. So I just
off play action too, might I add.
Yeah. I like more play action is good, but I like the wide receiver rotation.
Yeah, agreed. Quick chat question here about the receivers. Whatever happened to Christian Wilkerson? He is on injured reserve, and it was before roster cut, so he is done for the year. So he can't come back. He can't come back this year. Let's see. Anything else on the offense? I think that's good on the wide receiver front. Hunter Henry looked a little bit better. I think he had 4 catches for 54 yards.
My biggest, and I said this I think it was at week 1 or 2, we did the pregame show, and John asked me where my concern level was with the tight ends. And I'd said at the time with Hunter Henry.
Yeah, we had,
right. It's not just that he wasn't producing, his role had significantly changed from last year. They're running him on a lot more under stuff, a lot more check and release, just like not his game. Last year, his success was running up the seam, whether it was out of the slot, whether it was in line, running up the seam, running up the hashes. And wouldn't you know it, was that second, third play of the game. And look, there's an injury that led to him getting more open than he probably should have. And, obviously thoughts with Savion Smith. Hopefully he's okay. But once you know it, they run him right up the seam and boom, 23-yard completion. So like seeing Hunter Henry get a little bit more back into his element. And let's hope that trend continues.
Agreed. Get it to your tight ends, because again, that's a guy that Mac had a rapport with last year. It has clearly faded at the beginning of this year, but hopefully, again, you keep playing to these guys' strengths instead of trying to bring in this new offense, and hopefully we can see some more. We'll end it with my I went back and found that Billy from Moneyball tweet that I had earlier. Billy, this is the Patriots QB for this weekend. He holds the NCAA record for most yards in a season. He's yet to throw an interception in a regular season game, and he just went toe-to-toe with Aaron Rodgers at Lambeau Field. His defect is he's Bailey Zappi. But Bailey Zappi was outstanding this week, so apparently there's some QB controversy coming down the pike in Foxborough. We're gonna cut that and say that that's what Alex Barth said from 98.5. Good for Sorry, good for your station. That's what we got on the offense. Before we get to the defense, let's quickly talk about our sponsors for today's post-game show, Athletic Greens. Me and Alex both use Athletic Greens. What is this stuff? With one delicious scoop of AG1, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source ingredients, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, and aging. Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just one scoop it's just one scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills, supplements, or anything else to look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/garden. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/garden to take ownership of your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. Shout out to the Garden Report, our Celtics show here on CLNS Media. That's where you'll get your free 5 free travel packs with your purchase of AG1. So back to Patriots Lions and this daunting, legitimate Patriots defense that we saw today. 0 for 6 on 4th down, making history. Plenty more making history. I guess Alex can kind of get into it more because he wrote about it more in depth on 985thesportshub.com. But off the top, thoughts on the defense before we get into specific players and some feats. But
I mean, awesome stuff at all three levels. You know, there's been questions at times about the safeties. There's been questions at times about the linebackers. There's been questions about the pass defense. All three of those showed up in a big way today. So I think some of it is they're getting healthier. You had guys who've been hurt, Kyle Duggar, Raekwon McMillan, Devon Godshaw come in and make big plays today. So that's certainly encouraging to see. But I think what we saw today was a glimpse at the real Patriots defense. And granted, Detroit made some mistakes. Some of their 4th down decisions were interesting.
Yeah.
Call them interesting, but
they also were having a problem with their kicker, to give them a little bit of credit there. Austin Seibert, I think he was an Oklahoma guy. He was out, and they brought in Michael Badgley this week, who, I mean, Badgley was pretty good for a little while with the Chargers, I guess.
He was the money badger, remember?
Yeah, so, like, I don't know. I don't want to. I mean, they went 0 for 6, so you can't go 0 for 6. But there were some situations on 4th and 1s where people were giving them some flack for going for it. And at that point, I was like, well, you have a brand new kicker. You don't know exactly where his leg is, especially on the, like, being in Gillette away from your home turf, I guess. So
yeah,
I don't know. But
no, though, I kind of read that a little differently, and I get the kicker argument, but 4th and 1, you're averaging 6 yards per carry on the season through 4 games. You should feel good about a 4th and 1. And it's not like, we'll start here with kind of some of these crazy numbers. 0 for 6 on 4th down sounds nuts, but it's like, they probably had a bunch of long 4th downs. They're probably all late in the game. They're going for these like 4th and 20s, trying to come back in it. You know what the average distance to go was on the 4th downs they went for, not including the ones they punted. On the 4th downs they went for, you know what the average to go was?
I mean, I know there was plenty of 4th and 1, so it had to be low, but
3.6 yards. Yeah. And they had one 4th and 9. You take that one out.
Yeah.
And it's like 2 yards. That's, again, 6 yards per carry. Number 1 offense in the league. Couldn't get 2 yards when they had to have it. 6 times. 5 times. It was the one longer one, but 5 times.
Right.
That's impressive. Should they have gone for it? Should they not have gone for it? Maybe that helps contribute to the shutout, but they didn't get any of them. As the number 1 offense, they couldn't get 2 yards on you. That's impressive. I don't care how you cut it. That's impressive.
100%. And a team that you said they're averaging 6+ yards per carry. I keep using the word bell cow. You're not going to call him a bell cow. You're splitting some carries. But Jamal Williams, who is supposed to be getting a bulk of their carries today, behind a really good offensive line with guys like Frank Ragnow and Taylor Decker, Penei Sewell, a legit offensive line with a veteran running back who knows how to run in the NFL, only averaged 3.7 yards a carry today. So,
again, down from 5.9. Yeah,
exactly. Like a dominant game from the front seven of the Patriots today. Both in the run game and the pass game. Matthew Judon was all over Jared Goff today. 4 hits on Goff led the team. The strip sack that led to the Duggar touchdown, another sack. Judon was a beast today, and we talked about it earlier in the show. I just pray to God that they can keep this going throughout the rest of the season, because he did he did really fall off at the end of last year, and that definitely hurt them in some of their games where they went on that win streak, and then towards the end of the season they just kind of fell apart. But we should not really harp on that right now because Judon was outstanding today.
Yep, first time a Patriots player's had at least one sack in the first 5 games of the season. It's tied for the third longest sack streak in Patriots history with Willie McGinnis and Chandler Jones.
That's good company, folks.
He can move into a tie for second next week with a guy named Gary Jeter, who played in the 80s. And then it's 8 games that was split over 2 seasons for Andre Tippett, who has the franchise record.
Who was in attendance today.
He was in attendance. He was great. Judon was great. Really, I mean, everybody on the defensive line. That first fourth down that really set the tone, Christian Barmore and Devon Godshaw created disruption at that point of attack. And that was, we talked about the key matchups on Thursday. Frank Ragnow's beat up. Can the Patriots win there? They absolutely did. I thought those two played well. I thought Dietrich Wise didn't pop like he has in some of these recent games, but I thought he played well. So just good looks overall, all around. Josh Uche got a pressure. He had a dumb penalty late, but he got a pressure. So you like to see that. Anthony Jennings was getting in the backfield late in that game. Really everybody showed up up front. Like you said, it's a good offensive line. Like Taylor Decker is a top half starting tackle in the league. Judon made him look like Swiss cheese. I mean, that's as fast as I've seen Matthew Judon get in the backfield.
Yeah.
Was it Josh Uche or Anthony Jennings? One of them absolutely blew up Penei Sewell on a running play.
I think it was Jennings.
Sewell did not have a good game today.
No,
Penei Sewell did not have a good game today. So all Patriots defensive line played great. They're going to have fun watching that tape tomorrow morning.
Yeah, definitely. Judon gave the credit. I actually asked Judon postgame about kind of not just himself, but how their entire front seven got off to a really good offensive line in the Lions, and he basically told me that, look, he knows the Lions are really good, but he takes their front seven against anyone. And at this point, through 5 games now, I completely agree with them because they were legit today. They're again the thing that it's nitpicky, and it's what you talked about, and it has nothing to do with the actual X's and O's of the game, but it's the Josh Uche thing, right? I just hate when guys retaliate because you know that you're going to get the flag called on you. And I know it's in the heat of the moment. But it's just, I literally watched him run across the field and go shove that guy. And immediately as soon as he touched him, I was like, flag on the Patriots. Like, you got to be smarter. But again, that's the one criticism I have of the front seven today. They were awesome. The other, anything up more on the front seven before I get into the secondary, because I am obsessed with this Patriots secondary, maybe even more than their front seven.
Good to see Raekwon McMillan make a play late in that game there.
Oh, yeah,
last fourth down, right, where he came across. He's obviously somebody I've been very high on.
Didn't play any defensive snaps last week, right?
Right, he had defensive snaps last week. The week before that, he was inactive. He's been dealing with a thumb injury. Some people thought he might have gotten benched. Played a bigger role today. It'll be interesting to see the snap counts. I don't think he was out there a ton, but he had some meaningful snaps. Again, it goes back to kind of what we were talking about with the running backs. They didn't play him a ton, but they played him in big moments. And to come flying across, get that fourth down stop. And Matthew Judon talked about it after the game, that he's been kind of on and off the field, and to see him make a play felt good. So hopefully that kind of is a little bit of a spark. And I should say the same about Mac Wilson too. He made a big play early in that game on a third down. Hopefully that gets those two guys going. Because if they get those two guys back, and when I say back, I mean if they get those two guys rolling, it adds another dynamic to the defense. It adds another layer. Those guys were playing like the Patriots just brought in somebody to take their jobs, right? And Jamie Collins. They kind of, message received.
Yeah, seriously. Which again, I mean, I love it. Judon, I think he looks even better than a year ago. I mean, their linebackers are so much faster than they were a year ago. It's like, it's almost a relief to watch, right? You see these guys fly around the field like you hadn't seen in a while. Yeah, at least haven't seen it since Judon was playing as dominant as he was at the front half of last year. So It's good to see. Before we get into Jack Jones, I love this Patriots safety room because like Kyle Duggar is just such a force out there in coverage and in like even his run stuffing abilities. Like he is just a monster. Not even so much run stuffing, but just like tackling within 5 yards too. He's just unbelievable. Adrian Phillips the same way. Devin McCourty back there as not necessarily your free safety guy, but a guy who just commands the back end of the defense. I love their safety room. It's the strength of their defense. I know the front seven's been great today, but I can't get enough of Kyle Duggar. I think Kyle Duggar was freaking awesome today.
Yeah, it's funny. I was on with Ted Johnson on Saturday on the Sports Hub, and he asked me, what's been the most disappointing position group to you from the Patriots? And I actually said safeties because we came into the season. That was supposed to be the group, right? Remember, Bill even said,
we
Chris
talked.
Berman asked him, he was there at the the beginning of the season, what's your best positional group? And he said safeties.
Safety.
And, you had the blown assignment by Kyle Duggar on that 4th down in the opener. They were struggling to cover tight ends. Jabril Peppers kind of got beat up in the running game, against Baltimore there. What we saw today
is what they're supposed to be.
Yeah. Right. That, I thought it was really interesting early in the game. They went with a lot of 2 corner looks, and they were rotating Duggar and Adrian Phillips in the slot instead of Miles Bryant or Marcus Jones. And I thought that was a good look. Obviously, Kyle Duggar, the way he blew up that screen through the double block early in the game was fantastic. TJ Hawkinson did nothing in this game, and we talked about that being a big key. You kind of see people had talked about them struggling to cover tight ends. You see the impact on Kyle Duggar's back in the lineup. I thought Devin McCourty had a good game today. He's a guy that I know some people have kind of flagged down. Didn't really pop, but I thought he played, he was where he needed to be when he needed to be there throughout the game. He played
quarterback,
Yeah. I again, you said it there. This is what the safeties were supposed to be this year. They hadn't looked like it through 4 games. The guys were hurt. Duggar missed time. Adrian Phillips been dealing with a rib injury, all of that. But what they were today, that's what you kind of need to see from the Patriots. That's what you're looking for from that group, because when that group plays like that, it makes everybody else better.
Yeah, really refreshing to see. Again, Duggar picking up. He put on the afterburners on that 59-yard fumble return too. I watched him pick it up, and all of a sudden he was in the end zone. It was insane. So, just a beast. Good to see him healthy, because he's one of the better defenders they have, especially in that back end. So, good to see the safety room get back on track. Last guy I want to talk about, and then we can get to anything more you have. I'm sure that you'll want to talk about this guy, but Jack Jones, 2nd career interception, beast of a play. I love this guy too. He didn't get the start, obviously, because Jalen Mills came back, but he definitely still made his presence shown. They did that kind of rotational thing that we had talked about on Thursday on the show. Start Mills, start John Jones, and then kind of, flex these guys in, excuse me. And he made his presence felt. He came over the top, interception over TJ Hawkinson, 2nd career interception, ball hawk, and didn't had 3 tackles too. We talked about his kind of lack of great tackling ability, but I thought he looked pretty good today. Dominant ball hawk, didn't miss any real assignments, and I just think that's another, through 2 games, a really good draft pick so far by Bill Belichick.
Yeah, I still think I see people in chat saying trade Jalen Mills. No.
Okay,
they're still gonna do this rotation, 1, because they like it. They like keeping guys fresh. 2, you're still seeing him learn, right? There's the 3rd and 15 where he got completely turned around. He gave up that 18-yard, whatever it was, 20-yard catch to Josh Reynolds.
Oh, that was a sick.
You know what I'm talking about? So
it was the post corner or the post curl, right?
I think so. Yeah, I believe so.
That was a sick route too.
But he's either a post curl or a deep curl. It was a good route, but that's the kind of thing where, again, he's a very instinctive player. He needs to see it and kind of log it and be like, all right, this is something I need to prepare for. So I still think that they're going to try to protect him a little bit this season. And I still think it's going to be Mills and John Jones with him rotating in. But that interception, man, I yelled, wow, in the press box.
So did
because the way he read that, they're in man. I don't know what exactly that was, because Jelani Tavia had to carry. By the way, Jelani Tavia kind of carried TJ Hawkinson up the sideline there. So credit to him.
I know.
Jelani Tavia, sneaky good game today.
Although
there was the one play where the Lions got him in man on the boundary on whoever their pass catching running back is. This was late in the game.
Craig Reynolds. Was it him?
Yeah. And they should have thrown a touchdown on the play, but there was OPI and it erased it because 2 guys.
Oh, yes. Route. Yes. Yep. Okay.
And we shouldn't pick on it. Jelani Tavia had a good game. But anyway,
he's been good.
It's that wheel route. Tavia's got to carry him up the sideline. I don't know what Jones' assignment was. I have to go back and watch it. I don't know if it was some sort of match where the linebackers were in man and it was zone in the secondary, or if he was in man and he came off his assignment. But he's about 10 yards away, reads Goss' eyes, breaks on the ball, gets there just in time, goes up to get the ball over the 6'5" TJ Hawkinson and still gets his feet in bounds. I mean, that was an unbelievably, instinctual athletic play. You kind of look at that and you say, if this guy can make these kind of plays, these are number one corner kind of plays. Now, he has to make them regularly. And again, that just comes with playing more football, seeing more football, adding to that mental bank to improve those instincts. But not every corner is coming out and making that play he did today. Like the pick last week's impressive because Aaron Rodgers doesn't get picked a lot. And it was a pick 6 and it looked flashy.
Lambeau Field,
like
you said, flashy.
Right. Yeah. This was like, and that was it. It's not easy to pick off Aaron Rodgers. He's the least intercepted quarterback in the league over the last 10 years. But this was like, wow, he really just in a split second read it, diagnosed it, and got to the spot. Like that was the one against Green Bay. That was just a strong coverage play. It was his coverage assignment. Yeah. He ran the route better than the receiver, and he made the pick. I don't mean that to minimize it. That's not easy to do. But this is that, that's like, all right, when he's doing that, he's a legitimate NFL corner. This is going above and beyond. He made the read, came off his assignment, and still made the play elsewhere. That's next level stuff. That's really cool to see. And again, now it becomes about, can he start doing that on a more regular basis?
I also think about it as like,
by the way, real quick in the chat.
Nope, you're good.
Him getting his feet down may have been the most impressive part of that play. Given how high he jumped close to the sideline. The read's great. Don't sleep on him getting his feet in there. That was something.
I also think about it too as like sort of a momentum thing and like situationally playing football in that element as well, because going back and kind of comparing his first 2 career interceptions, in the Green Bay game, Green Bay is pressing to try and go down and score, and you kind of have the momentum as the defense, right? The Packers are in your territory. You're kind of, you're pushing them against the wall. You have momentum in that situation.
Right.
In this situation, the Lions are going into the end zone in still the first quarter in a close game, right? It's not like this was the end of the game where it's just Goff's just throwing up prayers. This was a gotta have it sort of tight play where Goff's trying to make a play to his top tight end, and Jack Jones, essentially to stop the Lions from getting any points, goes up and grabs a nasty play. So I thought it was awesome. Really like what I've seen from Jack Jones so far. He should continue to impress in this defense given the opportunities. We talked about it on Thursday as well. They had to make Jared Goff beat them, and he didn't do it. Jared Goff was 19 of 35, 229 yards, only averaged 6.5 yards a completion, and he threw the interception to Jack Jones. I generally try and give Jared Goff the benefit of the doubt. I thought that...
Why?
Because originally when he was in LA, I liked him and I was a fan of him. Like you say, I definitely have a type. You texted me that the other day too, when we were talking about Keaton Slovis. But because I thought that he was really good originally in LA, and I thought that, don't get me wrong, I like Matthew Stafford better. It was a good situation. But even what they had done through 4 games so far, it's like, okay, he's in this system now and they're scoring a ton of points and backs against the wall, kind of putting the ball in the end zone. But they stopped the run, made Jared Goff beat him, and he couldn't do it again. So point Belichick and the Belichick versus Goff. You can't even call it a rivalry, but they've been up against each other for some time. Any last thoughts on the defense before I go into one last thing that I saw in the chat? Now I can't find, but anything else on the D?
I got a special teams thought. You want it now, or do you want to do?
Well, that's what I was going to go to special teams. It was it was in the chat, and it was Nick Folk today, and it kind of had to do with the offense. Another criticism I had of the offense is they were really good in between the 20s, and then when they got in the red zone, they kind of stalled out a little bit. In a game like this where they just had the Lions the whole game, it wasn't an issue. But when you constantly have to kick field goals and can't get in the end zone all the time, that's going to kind of hinder your offense. But Nick Folk was awesome today. What did he have? 4 field goals? I mean,
5. So Nick Folk today was 5 for 5, 2 for 2 on point afters without a miss. He's the first kicker this year to go 5 for 5 on field, at least 5 for 5 on field goals, at least 2 for 2 on extra points without a miss. First kicker to do that this year. He's just the 5th kicker in the last 5 years to do that outdoors. It's oddly happened in Vegas a bunch of times, so I'm not counting that. It's inside. He's also just the fourth Patriots kicker ever to do that. And he joins Gino Cappelletti, Adam Vinatieri, and Steven Gostkowski did it twice. So good company. Like that was a big time. I don't think people are going to realize because some of them were chippies, but that was a big time day for Nick Folk. And Bill said it after the game. He shouldn't be as automatic as he is. Like you almost feel too comfortable with him because he's so good. It's not easy. It's really not easy. What he's doing right now. And what is it now? Like 51 kicks
I think it was
inside the 50 without a miss,
52, somewhere up there.
It's an NFL record. I mean, it's unreal what he's doing, how reliable he is at this point, especially like early in his career. He was kind of erratic. He's been awesome. And, you know,
it's
you
bizarre.
just hope it continues.
It's another position. It's another position kind of going back to the backup quarterback I was making a point of earlier. It's like Adam Vinatieri, Steven Gostkowski, Nick Folk, back to back, basically. For this Patriots team since the Belichick got here. And they've had legit kickers who you can rely on every single year, just about. Besides who was the other guy they had?
Before Folk, it was
what the heck's his name? Graham
Gano.
Something Graham? No, it wasn't Graham Gano though. No, because he was I think he was like with the Giants or something.
Evan had some stupid pun about his name, and it was annoying. And now I can't think of it. I've got it here. Mike Nugent. As Evan called him,
Graham. But Shane Graham was the other one I was thinking of.
Oh,
but
no,
they did have Mike Nugent.
Shane Graham was good that year that Gostkowski got hurt. That was like years ago. No, in 19, when Gostkowski was cooked, they signed Mike Nugent first. They had him and Folk and Shane Graham in for the workout. And they signed Mike Nugent first because he had more experience kicking in cold weather. And he sucked, and Evan called him the Nuge, and it was annoying. But glad they came to their senses and ended up with Nick Folk.
Yeah, again, another legit kicker down here in Foxborough that they can continue to rely on. Anything else? Overall thoughts? Again, I just thought, mixing it all together, not much to complain about here today in Foxborough. It's the Lions' top offense. They shut them out. Bad defense. They did their job. They get a 29-0 win. It's all you can ask for. I mean, I find it hard to really nitpick much more than we did today because it's just a quality win and it gets you a win, gets you moving forward into this winnable stretch that you have coming up for this team.
Yeah, I think we covered all of it.
Yeah. All right. That'll do it, guys. Thank you all for tuning in. Go back to some Sunday Night Football. I believe we're heading into halftime now, so you'll be able to go catch the second half after listening to us jabber for the last about an hour here. Me and Alex will be back twice this week, either Monday or Tuesday. We haven't ironed that out yet, and then Thursday as well. So we'll break this one down again for the Pats Beat folks. We will then preview the game against the Browns on Thursday. Until then, Mike Kadlick from CLNS Media for Alex Barth from 98.5 The Sports Hub. Follow us both on Twitter at RealAlexBarth and at Mike Kadlick. We will both be posting our write-ups from today's game and anything else coming down the pike for next week. Again, Patriots beat the Lions 29-0. Shut them out. Really good showing all over for the Patriots. So we will see you next time. Guys, thanks for watching.